Welcome to Between the Business Cards, a podcast that helps business professionals take their network and sales skills to the next level. And now, here are your hosts, Martina Niemeyer and Brandon Souba.
Hello and welcome to Between the Business Cards. I'm Brandon Souba with Valley Construction.
And I'm Martina Niemeyer with Centersphere.
And we're going to be your hosts for this podcast today. I'm just trying to spice up the entrances.
Yeah.
I don't want to say
That's
the
good.
same thing. Thanks.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, cool. So we just had an episode on politics in networking. And again, we felt it was just good timing.
Sure.
If you didn't listen to it, you go back and listen to it because it's one of those kind of action items. You can get ahead of this, and then you have something to work with if it does show up. But we thought a follow-up episode to that would be very helpful. Professionalism in networking.
Yes.
And we talk a lot about credibility, and we've touched on areas where you lose professionalism or you show more professionalism by doing certain things. And that's all based upon building your credibility so you're more referable within the people that you are networking with. You're putting in all the effort. A lot of us are making a financial contribution. Might as well get something out of it, right?
Sure.
So with professionalism, these are the things, I say tips and tricks a lot, but these are the things that we have seen that we feel affected people's credibility, be good or bad. And actually, as I'm looking at them, they're all bad. We're not going to give you any helpful.
There's no good ones on the
no.
list because we're going to talk about the things you should avoid.
Yes.
Avoid.
And if you've listened to the episodes up to now, we have shared a lot of good ones and things you can do to build your credibility. But today, we're definitely going to focus on some ones you might want to avoid. So the first one, this is my favorite. I'm going to give a little history first. I've been podcasting for a while now, and one of my favorite podcasts I ever did, and I don't think it's available anymore. I believe it has been taken down, but it was about swearing. And I did a lot of research on understanding swearing. I swear. Martina, do you ever say a swear word?
I do.
Okay. So we are two people that tend to swear from time to time. So I'm not saying you absolutely don't do it. But what I learned was that a swear word is more of a reaction than it is an actual word.
I can understand that. Yes.
And I use the example of if you hit your thumb with a hammer, you don't go, oh, forest, right? Because that's a real word. That means something.
Sure.
Where a lot of the swear words that we use, which I'm not using one on this episode, we say that because it's our reaction.
Sure.
So when you think about if someone is swearing when they're standing up and giving their weekly presentation or giving their big 10-minute, it's usually because they're not as prepared. And then there's other people that we know that just want to swear, and they do it consistently. And then I've even heard the statistic, this is my favorite, if you swear a lot, it means that you're very intelligent.
I've heard that statistic as well.
But I find that a little ironic because you could come up with so many more creative words.
You could.
Like,
yeah. That actually demonstrate intelligence.
Yes. So I think it's one of those, but I read it on Google, so it must be true type thing.
Yeah.
So the first topic we want to talk about to avoid and to stay more professional in the networking space is swearing.
Yes, and I've had people call after they've visited a chapter meeting, and that's something that's turned them off from being in that particular chapter. Now, some of our chapters, I'll be honest, they're like, hey, that's kind of who we are. We like that comfortable, space for us, and that's, if they don't like it, then we're not the right chapter for them. And if that's you guys, that's fine. It's what you have chosen to do. Your chapter understands the culture that you've set up. I would say in a professional environment, it has no place. I'd actually say in the vast majority of life, it doesn't have a place. But there are times, obviously, where it occurs, right? And there are people that have it as a very large part of their vocabulary, and it's all the time. And so the one meeting that I heard about was a person went and spoke to a chapter, and they were in a very professional field. I'll put it that way. Okay? Because I don't want to identify because I don't want it to be narrowed down. And the president called me afterwards and they were like, okay, so just so that you're aware, this is what goes on when this person presents. And the person's no longer in the network anymore. They didn't get kicked out for this, but they just chose not to continue. But they literally were dropping the F word every couple of words.
Oh, okay.
And it was their whole 10-minute presentation. And there were some people in the room incredibly uncomfortable with what was going on, because they were just like, whoa, this is not what I signed up for on a Tuesday morning, right? Like, this was, whoa, they're bringing the fire, right? And it wasn't necessarily a topic that was really fired up about. It was just like, this is just how I want to do everything. And I think some people think it's shock value, or it makes them highly relatable, or things like that. I would steer clear from it, because it really did turn off this entire chapter to using that person's services. They were actually highly seeking someone in that industry, and they were like, not that guy, not our dude, you know? And so that's hard. If you're doing that in a one-to-one or something like that as well, a same thing. You just, I think the last episode I said you give people the ick. They can get that, and they can just say, I don't know. I don't know if I could refer my grandma to them. I don't know if I could confidently refer my very, religious friends to them and feel like they were going to keep their mouth in check while they were, dealing with these people. And I don't want my friends, family, and other acquaintances to be uncomfortable for that. So last week we talked about a lot of losing your credibility because of something. If it's worthwhile for you to lose your credibility over dropping a couple of words because you feel that expresses you more, I would be really questioning whether or not you're analyzing that appropriately, because you never know what one connection can lead to.
Yeah, no. So I think that sums it up.
Okay.
I think you nailed it. Yeah, because the thing of it is, I've had people tell me, they're like, well, you said it, that's just our group.
Right.
Okay, so let's go beyond visitors here. If I come in, well, I guess that is a visitor. It's hard to turn it off when you're in front of a client.
Sure.
And I have people that will say, well, I would never swear in front of a client. And I'm like, I just heard you say 10 in one meeting.
Right.
I can't personally believe your guarantee that you won't. And in my profession, especially, it's the older generation that I work with. I would want to know that people are not swearing, especially the construction kind of stigma. I want them to know that this is not going to be your normal experience. They're going to be very cordial, clean, and keep it clean, I guess you could say.
And I know that we're probably falling into a territory that some of you are going to get a little bristly, because last time we talked about politics, and this time we're talking about swearing, and you're going to be like, well, it's freedom of speech. I can do whatever I want. This is true. Yep. But I used to teach high school history, and I always talked about your rights end where someone else's began. So just kind of good to remember that not everybody in the room may be wanting to experience that. And we would hate for you to lose business or even relationships. They may not want to invite you around their family. They may not want to, invite you into their home to even do work personally for them if they're like, I don't know. I don't think that we align in these ways.
Yep.
So,
well, and business to business, are you going to get hindered to get a continual contract because they're not comfortable making the introduction? I mean, if you do commercial HVAC, I don't know why I thought of that one, but commercial HVAC, you're going to be at this business often when they have issues. Again, if using some swear words is so important to you that you're going to give that up, I'll take it. I don't even do commercial HVAC, but I'll go.
Take the job.
Yeah, I'll take the referral.
So Brandon's taking random referrals for outside of his industry because he just loves to do business.
I don't think I'll do a great job. I'll be honest.
Well, that could damage your credibility.
And, but I won't. But I won't swear while I'm there. Boom.
All right. Okay. There we go.
Okay. The next one, and again, I want to preface: there are some groups where you can have a drink or two during the meeting. I almost don't want to say or two, but I know for a fact, 2 glasses of wine, hour and a half meeting or hour meeting, it happens. It happens, and that is the culture of the group. That's wonderful. But they're not a lunch or a breakfast group.
No, they are not. And it's important to remember your limitations in those moments. So both of us have experienced people showing up or getting intoxicated at meetings. We will tell you that is not going to make your networking easier. I think a lot of times people think, oh, if I'm in this state, it's better for me. I'll have conversations more fluidly, and I'll do this and I'll do that. And if that's what's going on with you, there's maybe something else that needs to be looked into, because that is not really what should be happening. And we have both experienced people. I had someone who was showing up regularly to lunch meetings, showing up to the lunch meeting already inebriated. And that is less than ideal. Again, we talk about the member and the guest experience, and we talk about your credibility. If you're showing up to your networking meeting like that, or while you're at your networking meeting, this is what you're doing, are they fully confident that you're not going to show up at noon, 10 a.m., something like that, to a client's house in that state? And that's concerning, because obviously, for all the reasons, that would be concerning, but it really is a damage to the credibility. So we're not saying you can't ever have a drink at a meeting. Obviously, if that is the culture of the group, that's kind of built in. Depends on if they're at a restaurant. Depends on if that's what's going on. But what we would say is you really need to know your limits and the moderation on that, simply because it can get out of hand quickly, and it can damage that credibility.
Perception is reality. Do you know that is one of my least favorite because of how true it is? And it was a couple weeks ago, actually, and I must not have been to an event for a while. And when I say a while, I mean like 3 or 4 days, because when I went into the room, I was just electric on fire because I was around people. Like, that gets me all excited, right?
Yeah.
And so I was networking around the room, and I came across a good friend of mine, and he goes, "How many of you had to drink?" And I was like, "Actually, none." And that was true. I had not had anything to drink at that point. But the perception was. So what does it look like in a meeting if you have one drink, but yet you're off the wall bonker, excited to be there? And so, now, for those that know me, that's just kind of how I am.
Is how you show up in a room.
But it is. But if you're not that person and that's how they perceive you, it may be that one drink, and you may not be intoxicated, but maybe you're just really enjoying the day or having a good day, and that can perceive incorrectly. Or maybe it's the opposite. Maybe you're grumpy Gus and you're drinking, and now your whole group's worried about you because they think you're drinking it.
There's an intervention that's going to happen.
Right. So again, we're talking about professionalism and networking. This is a tough one with the drinking. I think it was when I was traveling a lot, and we would sponsor events and we would give out drink tickets. And I always thought the drink ticket was just to make sense of, well, we're paying for it, but it was liability. One drink ticket means we provided you one drink. That is it.
Right.
So if anything happens after that, we're not liable for. Well, if you're hosting an event, you might have liability, right? So again, not saying drinking is bad or unacceptable, but there is a level that you want to watch and stay at to keep your professionalism and your credibility.
Absolutely. Yeah.
You want to take the last one?
Sure. So we obviously have males and females that are in the network, and how you present yourself is really important. So there's a couple of different things with this. I've had meetings that I've gone to that someone literally looks like they rolled out of bed.
Was it pajamas and the
and also just like really disheveled.
Okay.
Really disheveled, right? And you're like, oh gosh, goodness sakes, I hope they're okay. I mean, like, really and truly, like, that's the first thought out of your head, because you're like, why would you show up to a networking meeting like this? But I've always told people you can show up to your networking meeting in anything that you would be going to work in.
Yes.
Okay, I get that question a lot. What do I wear to this meeting? Some people feel they want to dress up a little bit more. But truly, a lot of people are either going to or coming from work when they're headed out networking. And so if you wear a T-shirt and jeans to network, great. Go ahead, because that's probably what you wear to work. If you wear a suit, that's great. If you wear a dress, that's great. Here's where we come into it. Make sure that it is professional. And what I mean by that is not fancy, not costs a bunch of money, not takes you to have to go buy a whole new wardrobe, but watch the things that would maybe be deemed unprofessional. An excessive amount of cleavage, an incredibly short skirt. I'm not saying that this makes you a bad person in any way, shape, or form. It just might not fall into the professional landscape. We want people to get to know you because they're working on getting to know you, not because of how you're dressed. And we also don't want people to avoid you because of how you're dressed. They may look at you and say, "Oh gosh, that person looks like they rolled out of bed." for a good example, right? And so they, I don't know how good they'd be at their job as insurance agent or a realtor
level
or
of
whatever.
Client do you want to get cut off at? Like,
Yeah.
oh yeah, no, my kind of the run-of-the-mill normal clients, yeah, I'll refer them. But when I have the high-end client, I'm just not comfortable. You don't want to lose that.
Sure.
You don't want to lose that.
And I don't mean to just bang on ladies at all. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying men, there's stuff with that too. Where there's tightness of things. There's whether or not things fit appropriately. And like I said, I'm not asking you to go out and spend a bunch of money on extra clothes to network in. What I'm saying is if you would meet with a very important client in what you're wearing, then that's an appropriate thing to wear to a networking event. So we say very important client because we like you to view your meetings and we like you to view the events as actually meeting with one of the most important clients on your book that week. Mm-hmm. And so if you're meeting with 15 of your very important clients, is there going to be something that is a perception that's drawn because of the state in which you showed up? We're not talking about getting prepared, but right. You should be fully dressed also when you come into a room. I'm not kidding. I've heard it all, and I haven't been present and witness to all of it, but I've been present and witness to enough that I'm like, oh no, these are real things.
It is. And I'll take it one step further. So you talked about men's dress and everything. I do think men kind of get in the mindset that they can just get away with, a ratty T-shirt, whatever, especially industries. But what if you were in an industry that is known for, T-shirt, jeans, it's usually dirty, right, because they're working. What if you show up clean with a fresh polo on, maybe a new line of deodorant if you're working outside,
sure,
and even throw on jeans? There are times that I change a couple times throughout my day, and it is to fit the area that I'm at. How do I want to be perceived? And I'm in construction, but I want to work with high-end clients. So I want to be perceived as, he's the guy that always has a polo on, slacks or jeans, and nice shoes. And that is the dress that I commit myself to. But I'm not going to go golf in that.
Right.
So I'm going to have golf shorts. Maybe the same polo might work. But I'm going to have those that I can change into if I have golfing within my day too. And I've even had it where I have an outfit to change back into because then I had another event after that.
Sure.
But again, perception's reality. How do you want to be perceived? And would it hurt you to have a clean polo in the car? You throw it on when you go. And what if that gets you a job that pays out $30,000, right? One job, $30,000 because you put a polo on and someone felt more comfortable referring you. So again, it's trying to think of your credibility ahead of the game and doing something different that no one else in your industry is doing to stand out. And that is a great way to earn the credibility to get those referrals that your competition is not.
I think those are great points. I think we've covered them really, really well. Again, this is not to try and put you into a box and not let you have your freedom of expression and freedom of speech and all of those things. And if you think that we're off base on this, that's your prerogative. We're telling you what we have experienced on that. And so we just encourage that we encourage you to try them. Yep. Try the things. See how it works a little bit better for you or differently for you. Because sometimes it's just different. It's not necessarily better one way or another, but it's just you're like, hey, there might be more on the table for me if I show up in this way versus that way. We want that for you.
Yeah. Always stand out over your competition. Never bash them. Just do better.
Yeah. There you go.
All right. Well, hey, check us out on the Center Sphere YouTube page if you want to actually watch these videos. Otherwise, we appreciate you listening on whatever platform you are listening on. We do push these out weekly, so if you haven't subscribed, please do, and then you'll get a notification when a new one comes out. Other than that, we look forward to talking to you on a future podcast.
Have a great day.